All right, so this video is rehashed from another one of my most popular videos that came out around August 5th. And the title that it came up with for the same video, because I believe we're using a different model of ChatGPT in order to work with this data. And so it came up with America's work culture is just Taco Bell bubble gut. And I thought that was hilarious because I was going through it because initially it gives you kind of just like a receipt for the previous video, like you shove in the transcript and it outlines how you could have made it funnier or what highlights you should have used or what type of humor you should have kept it at. And it really likes the stuff where I talk about personal situations and it lived experiences because it's something that makes my channel unique, right? It's the one thing that's different, the thing that I can't script because this channel is based on doing things in the same, basically the same exact way. You get a transcript, shove it into ChatGPT, tell it to create 3 talking points, introduction, closing, some art, and bam, we got another video. So when I have a really good video, when it does really well, it gets over 5,000 views. For me, that's a lot of views. I like to go back and look at it this way and analyze it a second time to see if I can make it better than the original. And later on, maybe months from now, when I'm looking for additional material, I'll go back even deeper in the channel and look at my highest rated videos again and try rehashing it because every time the AI model changes, it is capable of analyzing it from a different perspective. In fact, I was just reading this article about a woman who claims that she fell in love with the AI within ChatGPT, but then the model changed overnight and that personality disappeared. You guys all know my channel art up until May 1st looked a certain way because all able to be created with this AI personality that ended on May 1st. And now I struggle with the art to the point where I had to go somewhere else in order to create it because the models changed. So that means perspective change. Like a little while ago, I was looking for channel art. I gave it the vague description of what I wanted it to match the video that I was working on. It drew a blonde girl in her underwear. And I was like, that is definitely not what I asked for. Anyhow, let's get into today's video. Welcome to Pound Town, where jobs aren't careers. They're survival rations doled out just to keep you breathing. My credit score isn't a badge of responsibility. It's the scarlet letter of a system designed to keep people poor. Every paycheck is already gone before it arrives, eaten alive by debt, bills, and overpriced basics. This isn't work anymore. It's humiliation packaged as opportunity. Oh, the humanity of that last part. Packaged as opportunity. And work is pretty humiliating. I talk about the chicken costume at work, but we all wearing a chicken costume. If you're not rich, you're wearing someone's chicken costume. And whatever it says on the back of your chicken costume, like happy to help, the reason why that's on the back of your chicken costume is because most of the employees that work in these ridiculously humiliating jobs aren't happy to help. In fact, most are unapproachable. I've walked up to a person, asked them a question, and they just looked at me blankly like they couldn't understand what I was saying. I've seen this happen at my gym as well. Is that you'll walk up to a person that's working there, especially the janitor, you'll ask them about where is something, and they'll just look at you like you're a Martian. Or they're strictly an NPC that can only smile and wave or say, have a nice day. In fact, yesterday while I was walking through the mall, with my friend, I dropped her off in one section, and then I had to run back to use the toilet in the front part of the store that we were at. And I walked past this NPC that worked there, and she greeted me. The As I walked by her the first time she greeted me, I walked past her to go to the bathroom. She greeted me in the same way, and I walked past her again, back to the other side of the mall, and there she was again, the exact same smile, exact same tone. Nothing changes. But if you're going to do something on repeat, hundreds, if not thousands of times on a busy Saturday afternoon, because that Chandler Mall was popping yesterday. Like there were parts of it when we were walking through the sporting goods store where you were elbow to elbow with rich white people. And that's not normal at a mall. That's definitely not what I saw as we traverse to the next mall to look for something we inevitably wouldn't find. But with that said, let's get back into the video and start with our first talking point. Today's jobs aren't stepping stones to a career. They're bear traps. Hourly wages were designed to bury you in debt, not lift you out. You wake up knowing your paycheck is already gone. Rent, credit cards, bills, food, all gnawed away before it ever touches your filthy little pearl hands. Payday isn't relief. It's just the bank taking their bite out of your rear end. Also, where your wallet lives, on your rear end. I love that. Bear traps. Because that's exactly what they feel like. They tell you you can walk around the bear traps, that not everyone has to fall into the wage cage. But I'm still waiting. Half my life already gone. I'm still waiting for a career path that isn't a bear trap that locks you into a job that puts you into survival mode. Because I've told you guys before, when I was working in retail, that year between graduation in 2017 and the end of working there in the middle of 2019, oh my God, the trap of working in retail is literally you're starving the entire time, waiting, hoping your coworkers making fun of you every day because you don't understand how they can get used to it, how they can get used to working in retail. Because I wasn't one of those people. From the day that I started, I was going to other job interviews, other job interviews. I just didn't have the opportunity. When you're working from 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon to 2 o'clock in the morning every day, it doesn't give you a whole lot of opportunity to schedule out a life. That and week to week, you could go from 4 o'clock in the afternoon to 2 o'clock in the morning, or getting home at 2 o'clock in the morning and having to open at 6 a.m. They didn't care how they scheduled it. If you couldn't handle it, you didn't work there. And I mean, you would see people who'd show up with 2 or 3 hours of sleep, and you're just like looking at them like, what happened to you last night? Like, there's a couple of the girls that work at the Kroger's down the street from me. They'll show up for afternoon shifts after closing or opening and closing, or doing even worse is overnights, doing an overnight shift and for 4 days, and then having to do a daytime shift. There was one of the really young, I think she was like 19 years old, and she'd worked there for since she was in high school. And so I think she started working there when she was 16. By 19, they had promoted her to manager, but instantly she had to do the shift that nobody wanted to do, which was overnight. But to add to the pain of that job, it came with 4 overnight shifts and 1 day shift. And I was like, who would design a system where you have to get used to being up all night? I believe the shift is 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. working in retail, stocking shelves, being in the coolers the whole time. And then suddenly you have to wake up at 6 a.m. to do a daytime shift for no other reason other than they want you to make certain that everything is working as well as it should be. And you think to yourself, how am I supposed to make a life for myself when I work those shifts? They don't care about the people, what it does to people. And I've been told that to my face by a retail manager. We don't care. We don't want you to stay at this job. We don't care what it does to you. And the mental health crisis in America is based on that. We don't care how mind numbing or repetitive this job is, that you don't like it. No one is supposed to like work. Very, very few people. I imagine the 1% who go to work, and by that I mean go to work to watch their workers make money for them. I'm sure that they enjoy their cushy lives, but for the most part, if you're working at an Amazon warehouse or car wash, wherever you happen to be working your minimum wage job, you're not enjoying yourself. And the dread of having to return back, even after just a couple of days, even after, let's say, taking a 4 day weekend for Labor Day, for instance, and you come back and you're just like, this is the same. This is the same every week. You're stressed out. And the weird part is that work stresses you out to an extent, but it's that financial stress that you have. Am I going to have enough money to pay my credit cards this month? Am I going to make it to the end of the month without running out of money? Am I going to make it to my next paycheck without running out of money? And for most of us, like myself, right now, I didn't make it. And therefore, run out of money, and then you pull your pockets out, and then you wonder, what am I going to do for the next 4 days? And that's where that favorite saying of mine comes out: you better figure it out, because work isn't going to stop just because you can't afford to eat while you're working. It doesn't matter. You had to pay your bills. A lot of my bills, my credit card bills, are, in fact, I just got a text message a couple seconds ago saying, oh, we're going to take out this money for this credit card. And I'm like, I haven't even used that credit card in the last 2 years. All I've been doing is paying interest on it because I loaded it up to buy groceries 2 years ago and I could never pay it off, because instead of your paycheck going up to cover inflation, your paycheck goes down, your buying power goes down. So now you're stuck with this debt that you can't pay. It's the way of the world, people. All right, let's get into our second talking point. Workers are forced into survival mode apartments with peeling paint, cockroach roommates, while corporations strip benefits down to useless pamphlets telling you don't get sick. Companies demand do more with less, but what they mean is die quietly while we prioritize the profit. If the cockroach is poverty's mascot, then McDonald's are the infestation that keeps spreading. Wow. Yesterday, while I was sitting at Jiffy Lube waiting to get my oil changed, I was sitting there staring at the TV while they showed I'm going to just call it an infomercial for a $25 million beachfront mansion. And I was thinking, oh my God, who's going to be sitting at Jiffy Lube watching this infomercial for a place that you would never be allowed to go? Maybe they'd let you clean it, but even the cleaners that are going to clean a place that expensive are going to be elite. It will never be you. I mean, I've been in some very, 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 very wealthy homes. My mom was a cleaning lady, and her area was Camelback Mountain and Paradise Valley. So I get to sit in a lot of really, really pretty large homes when I was a child because my mom had to clean the toilets. And what I knew, even as a child, I remember sitting in one particular house. It had a pool in the backyard, the full length of the house, and the house was huge. And one lady lived there with her dogs. And it was a thing to see. It was beautiful. It was on the mountain, the neighborhood. I remember driving to the neighborhood. It felt like driving into paradise. And even as a 6-year-old boy, I knew that I would never in my entire life ever get to be inside of that home as a person that lives there. When you know what's coming, even as a child, that you will never reach that, because look where you came from. Look at what your mom's doing. She's cleaning the toilet in this place. And you as a child realize, what chance do I have at living in this neighborhood? And once you come to the realization about jobs in the same way, we're all living in the ghetto job neighborhood. My job will never provide me enough money so that I can live a normal, regular life. We proles down here at the bottom have to understand that this is the most that we can achieve. My popcorn ceiling, my peeling paint, that giant hole underneath my cabinets in the kitchen the size of a racquetball. I thought that I had termites because there was so much wood shavings inside of my storage cabinets under here, what I would consider to be my pantry, right? And when the handyman came over 2 weeks ago, I told him, it's like, what is that? And then he just like opens the drawer and looks underneath, and there's a giant hole there. And I asked him, it's like, can that be fixed? And he's like, yeah, but it's going to take some time. We'll probably get around to it. It made it seem like this is going to take 6 months. And I was like, well, why should I bother to put in a work order at this point? Who cares? It's not my house. I just sleep here over there. That was my mentality. It's like, you have to give up at some point. And when you're a child and you give up at life, no matter how much you go to school, how much time I spent at the university trying to beat a rigged system by going to school. It was never going to be possible. I have never gotten a single job or been to a single job interview based on my education. I might as well have thrown my future away and threw gas on it and burned it up because this is the future I was always supposed to get. You can't get out of the way of poverty if you don't have the tools in order to move away. It's like you're walking through a really skinny alley and you can't turn. All you can do is keep moving forward until you make it to your grave. That's what life is like for many people down here where I live. And the cockroach is very symbolic of poverty because most people won't live in a roach infested anything. Any person with the means to move away from the roaches is going to do it. But if you can't, you have to learn to live with them. And that was the situation I stayed in for years at my last apartment. It's just there's no way that you can get out of there. It's what you can afford. And unfortunately, for many of us, the roaches, the symbol of the roach, is stamped directly to our foreheads. There's no way to remove that. It is permanent on your forehead that you are society's cockroach and you don't deserve better. All right, let's get into our final talking point before I can feel like my nose is really starting to get really congested. My throat's getting worse and worse. I've been talking for what, 4 hours now? I've been working on videos. All right. The shift from stable careers to gig work is sold as freedom, but it's really fear disguised as opportunity. Workers sign contracts reminding them that they can be fired anytime. Fear makes you grind harder. If you can't be exploited, you're discarded. The homeless on the streets aren't an accident. They're scarecrows, warning the rest of us of what happens if you stop being useful. I know that I'm going to mention this in every video that I made today, but every video that you guys are going to watch this week was made one after another all day on Sunday. You don't think that YouTube's a job? Believe me, I've been working since I woke up this morning. So, as I was driving back from the gym this morning after working out with my friend, there was a guy standing or sitting at the corner of my apartment complex. He looked like a very young man. That's the one thing that I took from that. I'd say he was either 20, no older than 23 or 24. He looks like he took to homelessness the way that a feral animal. He looked no different than something like a creature that just climbed out of a muddy hole. All of his hair, his face, his legs, all of his clothes were all the same color of the dirt around him. If his eyes had been closed, he would have been perfectly camouflaged into that patch of dirt. That's a person who's given up on their humanity. That's a person who will never be able to get a job. The only human part of him left were the roundness and the color of his eyes. That was it. The rest of it, fully integrated, feral American, not knowing what to do, living scared, no backpack, no wallet, no nothing, no water, nothing. Just sitting there, just glaring at me as my car drove past him, like thinking that at some point he was a whole human being. And then something happened. He became the scarecrow of our society. That face, those eyes staring back at you from a non-human condition that he is in, should frighten every single person that's listening to me right now, because that can be you easily. No one guarantees you work in this country. Not a single person. Every single person in this country can be fired at any time. And without the proper backing, you will fall and you will become him. And this is something I've told myself for years. As you drive around in the city, the homeless are maybe 100 yards apart from one another. Everywhere you go in this part of the city. I'm willing to bet that if I came out of my apartment right now and looked down the street, I could spot one on every corner, begging for money on the side of the road. That's another thing. Our society has changed since the bug. People don't stop and give money anymore. People aren't generous anymore with those people. We've taken a hard line as to try not to look at them directly. The less we acknowledge them, the less likely that they're going to get help. When I was in Tucson, the homeless people were a lot more aggressive than up here in Phoenix. They would actually walk up to your car and stick their hand in your window, and you're like, oh my God, they're tired of being ignored. Anyhow, let's close out this video. The truth is simple. America's jobs were never built to make you thrive. They were built to keep you desperate. From McDonald's to Amazon, we're all stuck in the same cycle of fear, labor, where survival replaces dignity. The myth of upward mobility is just bait on a corporate hook, dragging us deeper into the wage cage. And until we stop believing the lie that hard work equals success, Pound Town will keep getting bigger and will all be permanent residents. I think whether or not you go to Evil Corp, Surf City, or the Death Star, every single place, you will become a permanent resident of the bottom rung of this work economy. That's the way it was created, and it is working perfectly. Every apartment complex in America resembles one thing, and that's a prison. They open up cell block B every morning so you can go into Pound Town, work, and then come back. And at every turn that you're at Pound Town, police knows where you are because that's what he does. And all you can do is close your eyes and fill your mind with toxic positivity. Fill your thoughts with, it doesn't hurt and it will get better. Because that's what we're sold. That is what freedom really looks like in America. The freedom to believe that things will get better, that your wage will go up, that the conditions will get better, that the fry later won't be as hot and the customers won't be as cruel. Like yesterday, my friend went to Dunkin' Donuts late at night to buy coffee for some reason, and she wasn't intending to, but she accidentally smacked the coffee cup with her hand right into the employee. She's told me several times it wasn't intentional, but it looked intentional. Can you imagine having that intentionally done to you all day long as a proletariat at every job? Having that coffee splashed right into you all day, and all you have to do, all you can do, is smile and say, may I have another.